In 2014, Lucy and Mike were work colleagues, and there was a strong friendship between them. Mike was secretly in love with Lucy and never told her about it, especially since she was already in a relationship with someone, but it seemed that things did not go well for Lucy, so she decided to separate because of the constant disagreements between them. And during that period, the relationship between Lucy and Mike grew stronger, but Mike did not dare to tell her that he loved her, and after several months, Lucy received the news of her father's death. She was in a state of extreme sadness and crying constantly. Mike was feeling sorry for her and did not know how he could help her overcome her sadness. He used to go to her house to check on her daily, talk to her on the phone several times during the day to make sure she was okay, buy her food, or go himself to prepare a meal. He was trying in every way to help her get out of that bad situation and return to life again. Indeed, within 2 weeks, Mike was able to greatly ease Lucy's distress, and she decided to return to work again. She was not completely herself at first, but over time she improved a lot and returned to normal. One day, Lucy accidentally overheard a conversation between 3 colleagues talking about her and Mike, saying that there was a relationship between them and that they were hiding it. Lucy did not want to let them know that she heard them because she did not want to talk about it with anyone. But despite from that, Lucy kept thinking about what she heard for days and found that she actually had strong feelings for Mike. Perhaps those feelings had already existed before she broke up with her ex-boyfriend, or perhaps she began to feel those feelings because of what he did to her after her father's death. She doesn't know, but she is sure that there was something inside her moving for Mike. And here Lucy decided to take the step that Mike was long overdue. She invited Mike to dinner at her house, prepared lasagna for him herself because she knew it was Mike's favorite meal, and prepared the house to be completely romantic for Mike's reception. Mike went to Lucy's house feeling nervous and anxious, asking himself, had Lucy really invited him on a date? Or is he delusional because he wants this very much? And as soon as Mike arrived at Lucy's house and she invited him in, Mike was sure that this was a romantic date. Mike was surprised by all the things that Lucy did for him on this date, and he felt great happiness overwhelming him. And for the first time, Mike decided to let himself complete freedom of action, not letting stress and anxiety spoil his date with beautiful Lucy. On this day, Lucy told Mike that she had feelings for him, and he confessed his love to her. It was a special and very romantic night. The dates between Lucy and Mike continued for several months before he decided to move with her to her house. Life between them was easy and smooth, and none of them suffered from the problems that occurred mostly between couples, which is why Mike decided to propose to Lucy on the 1-year anniversary of their first meeting. He bought her a beautiful ring with a blue diamond that resembled her eye. It was as delicate as Lucy's, and presented it to her during their celebration. Then Lucy agreed without hesitation to marry Mike. The couple celebrated a quiet wedding. They invited only close friends and family from both sides. The wedding ended and married life began. Both Lucy and Mike wanted to have children immediately, so they both decided to try to get pregnant, but many months passed and nothing happened. And here they decided to go to a doctor. Lucy and Mike went to a doctor who asked them for a number of medical tests that each of them should undergo in order to determine whether there is a problem. If there is any problem that prevents pregnancy, a treatment plan will be drawn up for it. Unfortunately, the tests for Mike and Lucy both came back with a number of problems that prevent pregnancy, but in general it is not difficult. It just requires a lot of time, patience, and adherence to the medical drugs prescribed by the doctor. Another months passed for Lucy and Mike without anything happening, and although the tests and examinations are constantly improving, they both feel despair because they do not find any change in reality. They both wait every month to celebrate the awaited news, but to no avail. Lucy begins to feel frustrated. She demands Mike go to another doctor. Mike was hesitant at first, but when Lucy insisted, he agreed to go with her to another doctor. Unfortunately, everything that happened with the first doctor was repeated with the second doctor and with all the doctors that Lucy and Mike went to, and they were many. Lucy was in her worst psychological state, feeling hopeless, feeling sad, and it was clear on her face that she had lost the joy of life because of this problem. And here Mike decided to intervene and talk to her about what she was going through. He wanted to reassure her and tell her that the treatment would achieve results in the end, but she must be patient and pray to God a lot for the miracle to happen. Lucy felt that her husband was sad for her, and here she decided to try to forget the matter a little. It seems that she was convinced by what Mike told her and began to live her life normally. She is committed to the diet that the doctor prescribed for her and is committed to all the medical drugs that were prescribed to her and tries not to think about it too much. But this did not prevent her from time to time to browse social media platforms about the most famous doctors in the field of treating pregnancy problems. She knew most of them and had actually gone to them, but one day she was surprised by a post on Facebook in which a woman talked about the miracle that had happened to her with one of the Indian doctors, who recently came to the United States of America. The woman was explaining her condition and that she had gone to more than 20 doctors, and all of them confirmed that she was barren and could not have children. There were even those who offered her solutions such as adoption or using a surrogate mother, but she refused all of these solutions until she reached a solution with this doctor, whom she only went to 5 times, only to discover that she was pregnant. After that, the woman who wrote the post began to talk about her feelings about her pregnancy and her expected child, and about all the things that she wanted to buy for him as an expression of her enthusiasm and love for this little boy whom she had waited for years. It seems that every word in this post touched Lucy's heart and mind, and this is what made her send a message to the author of the post to ask her about this doctor. Lucy did not want to say anything to Mike about this doctor because she felt that he might be upset with her because she had previously promised him that she would leave the matter. Lucy waited 2 days until she received a response from the author of the post, who photographed her doctor's card and sent it to her in a message and wished her good luck. The name on the card was Abhay Ashish, as well as the address of his clinic, but unfortunately it was in a different state than the one where Lucy lives. There was no phone number on the card, but there was an email, and Lucy could not wait or think about it. She immediately sent an email explaining her condition, and here she received a response half an hour later, and Lucy knew that the one who wrote the letter was not Dr. Abahi himself, but his assistant Amila, who asked Lucy to send her all the papers related to her condition, examinations, tests, doctor's prescriptions, everything related to her condition, and Amila justified the matter by saying that this procedure is followed by Dr. Abahi in order to make sure that he is able to deal with the condition or not, so he did not waste his time or the time of the patients due to the large number of people wishing to book an appointment for the examination. And here, Lucy sent all the papers Amila requested, describing her condition in detail. Lucy was checking her email about every half hour to know whether Dr. Abe would agree to meet her or not, but unfortunately, she did not receive any response during that day. She was unable to sleep well, but due to extreme exhaustion, she succumbed to sleep. The next morning, the first thing she did was check her email, and indeed, she found a message from Dr. Abe's office. At first, Lucy was unable to open the message. She sat down and looked at it. She held her phone with a trembling hand, afraid to open the message and find that the doctor had rejected her condition. Her tears fell against her will, and finally she decided to open the message. When she opened the message, her condition completely changed. She knew that the doctor had approved of her condition, and she could go to the clinic after 1 week. She felt happiness and hope flowing within her. She decided that she would never waste this opportunity from her hand, but she had one obstacle in front of her, which was how she was going to tell Mike everything that had happened. She did not think about it for long because she knew that Mike loved her and would not refuse her request or be angry with her for a long time. Indeed, when Mike came from work, she sat in front of him. She did not know what to say to him, but he felt her, so he asked her to speak directly, because she could say anything she wanted to him without any fear. And here Lucy began to tell him everything that happened to her, starting from the Facebook post to making an appointment at Dr. Abhe's clinic. Mike agreed despite his fear that this doctor would not succeed like all the doctors before him, but he could not refuse because he knew that his refusal would certainly break Lucy's heart. Mike took leave from work and traveled with Lucy one day before the scheduled time. They stayed in a hotel near the clinic in order to make it easier for them to reach at the correct time. The next day, Lucy woke up at approximately 5 in the morning, feeling excited because she would finally meet the miracle doctor who would achieve her dream. Finally, Lucy and Mike arrived at the doctor's office, which looked nothing like any other clinic she had ever been to. The smells were strong. There were pictures hanging on all the walls, and there were also posters with writing on them, perhaps in Hindi, and neither Lucy nor Mike understood what was written. Mike felt tense and anxious, but he was certain that it was too late to back down now, especially since he heard Amila, the doctor's assistant, calling for his wife to come in for the examination. Lucy and Mike went to the doctor, who told them that their problem was not difficult and that he had previously dealt with similar cases, which made Lucy feel reassured. But Mike thought that he was exaggerating the matter. The doctor talked about the difficulty of getting pregnant using normal methods for Lucy at the present time, but he had a solution. Here, Lucy told him that she was willing to do anything to get pregnant with a child of her own. And here the doctor started talking about some medications that he himself was formulating, which had not yet been approved, but he had tried them in more than one case of his own and achieved very good results. Lucy agreed without hesitation, but Mike felt that the matter was not correct, and he began to ask the doctor about these drugs. And here the doctor tried to reassure him that the issue of these drugs obtaining licenses was a matter of time and that they would be available in the markets, perhaps within a period of 6 to 12 months. And here Lucy jumped from her seat and said that she will not wait that long and she will take the drugs now. Here the doctor smiled at Lucy's reaction and actually gave her the medicine. The packages were strange, and some of them clearly seemed to be hand-packed, but Lucy did not care. The doctor asked them to come back to visit him next month, and they actually returned once. Another time, the doctor repeated the medicine, and the next time, a month later, the doctor told them Lucy was pregnant. Lucy did not believe what she heard, and if Mike had not been holding her hand at the same time, she would have fallen to the ground from the act of surprise. They were both above the clouds from extreme happiness. They thanked Dr. Abhay, then left to return to their home and their daily life. Lucy decided that she would not go to work again. She thought that perhaps she would resign or work from home, and then the work administration offered her to work from home because she was one of the most skilled workers in the company. The months of pregnancy passed happily and calmly. Lucy had to go to the doctor with whom she was following up on the pregnancy, and she used to reassure them every time about the health of Lucy and the fetus. But the only strange thing was that the doctor every time told Lucy to reduce the amount of food because the fetus was already large. Mike and Lucy are surprised because Lucy almost did not eat anything without feeling nauseous and vomiting. She was pale and tired all the time due to the lack of food she ate, and even if she did eat some food, it would never stay in her stomach. When Lucy reached the last weeks of her pregnancy, the doctor told her that she would most likely not be able to give birth naturally because the baby weighed a lot and could be exposed to danger in a natural birth. Here, Lucy decided to agree to a cesarean section, as long as this was the solution that the doctor deemed appropriate. Lucy gave birth to a beautiful little boy. He was a joy, a dream, and life for Lucy and Mike. They felt afraid for him all the time and wanted to protect him constantly. Lucy was keen to take him to monthly follow-ups since his birth, and everything was fine, except that the little boy, Henry, was growing at a faster pace than other children. His teeth began to appear at the age of 3 months, while he spoke his first clear word when he was only 5 months old. He was laughing, sitting, and crawling on his own without help from either Lucy or Mike, and this is what made them feel proud of him and believe that he is a very special child. Henry grew up until he was 4 years old, and here Lucy decided to enroll him in one of the private schools near the house. She submitted his papers and was accepted into the school. However, he was always quarreling with the rest of his classmates, and this was not what worried Lucy. Rather, it was the extreme violence that he dealt with others, even his teacher. The school administration hoped that she would summon Lucy and Mike in order to find out how they were dealing with Henry, because the school administration believed that Henry was being abused at home, and that is why he was so aggressive, and of course it was not true. The school year ended and Lucy began to go down frequently with Henry to play in public parks. She saw for herself how he treated other children, but what made her feel truly horrified was when she found him holding the neck of a child because he refused to let him play alone. Lucy rushed to tell him to leave the child alone. He didn't respond to her, and when she extended her hand to take his hand away against his will, he also treated her with extreme violence and pushed her hand away from him to the point that she almost fell because of his reaction. Lucy did not know what to do or what to say to Mike about the matter. She did not know whether her child was suffering from a behavioral problem or if he was sick with something, and here she decided to limit going out with Henry or to leave him around other children. And one day, Lucy left Henry with Mike and went out to dye her hair. And here Mike invited his brother Carl to come with his children and spend time together. And when Carl came and the children started playing, Henry did not deal with them. And when Mike asked them to go up to Henry's room to play, Henry preceded them there. And it was only seconds later Mike and Carl heard the sounds of screaming from inside. Henry was holding the neck of Carl's youngest daughter, Wendy, and her older brother, Robin, was trying to keep Henry away from his sister, but to no avail. As soon as Mike saw what was happening, he approached Henry and violently pulled his hand. Mike felt Henry's resistance to him, but he ignored it. The thing is, Wendy was crying really hard, and then Carl said that maybe that was enough for today and they should go home. Mike was unable to say anything to Carl, but he apologized to Wendy profusely. Mike went to the door with them. Then he sat at the dining table near the door, thinking about what was happening with his son. Why would any child do what Henry did? And then he began to research this behavior, but he came to the same results. The school had previously learned that a child might do such actions because he himself was exposed to violence. Mike knew in his heart that it was impossible for Lucy to treat Henry violently, but he did not know why Henry would do such actions. Mike thought for hours before asking one of the stores to send a small camera that he could install on top of the television set in an inconspicuous area in order to confirm whether Lucy was treating Henry violently or not. When Lucy came in the evening, Mike told her everything that happened, and here Lucy became startled and began to cry, and she also told him everything that happened on the playground. For several days, both of them have not found any explanation or solution. Mike was reviewing the camera recordings almost every day and did not find Lucy treating Henry violently even once. She was always encouraging him, helping him, and treating him with tenderness. Here, Mike decided to offer Lucy psychological treatment for Henry. Lucy agreed without hesitation, but when they went to the psychiatrist, Henry refused to talk to him or even look at him, and of course the doctor was unable to find out anything other than the things that Lucy and Mike said about Henry, and the doctor confirmed that since the child is not exposed to violence, he may be seeking to draw attention from those around him. Lucy and Mike left the doctor's office and were not convinced by a single word of what he said. Henry has been the center of their attention all along. Why does he feel like he needs to draw more attention? The vacation ended, and Henry returned to his school, and Lucy was feeling afraid. But this time of Henry and what Lucy feared actually happened. Complaints from Henry soon returned again. Each time the degree of violence with which he dealt with the rest of his classmates increased, until the matter was impossible for the school, and the headmaster asked Lucy to remove Henry from school because his behavior had become intolerable. Lucy had already transferred Henry's papers to another school, and it seemed that Henry liked the new school. Lucy did not receive any complaints from Henry at the new school. Here, Lucy realized that the problem, of course, was not with her son, and she felt reassured. But unfortunately, this feeling soon ended when she learned that one of the girls at Henry's old school were found murdered. Someone broke her neck. The girl did not lose any of her belongings other than her hair tie. It was black and white. The police believe that the hair tie may have been lost by accident, and it may have been a souvenir that the killer took from the girl. This incident was repeated more than 3 times, and each time a simple item of the murdered boy or girl's belongings disappeared, which made the police confirm that all of these things were taken by the killer as souvenirs from the victims. Lucy felt deep in her heart that there is something bad, but she never admitted it, even to herself. One day, after she prepared Henry's lunchbox, she went to put it in his bag, and when she opened it, she found a black and white hair tie in front of her. She couldn't control herself and started searching Henry's bag until she found all the things that the police announced were taken from the victims. When Henry came down from his room to go to school, Lucy told him that she felt ill and would not be able to send him today, and perhaps it would be better for him to go up to his room and change his clothes again. Henry did what his mother asked without discussing her, and then Lucy sat in front of her computer, searching and searching for anything, something that could explain everything that was going on in her mind, but to no avail. Finally, Lucy arrived at research linking the medical drugs that are used in pregnancy to the behavior of children, and here she began searching among her old belongings that she had kept as memories of her pregnancy with Henry. But she did not find any of the drugs that was mentioned in the report. Then she remembered the drugs that had been given to her by the Indian doctor, Abahi, and when she brought them, she did not find any information on any of the drug packages. There was no name, ingredients, or company name, anything that she could turn to in order to find out information about those drugs. After reaching a dead end, Lucy decided to look for the clinic's email, and after a while she was able to access it, but she noticed that it was not working. Every time she wrote to this email, the email came back again with the words, "Sending failed." And here Lucy thought that the doctor had traveled to India, or he may have gone elsewhere, so she decided to search for his name. Unfortunately, as soon as she found his name, she found many press reports and news talking about the magician ABHI, who came from India specifically in order to test his magic on women, especially those who suffer from pregnancy problems, and the reports confirmed that the women who dealt with him were exposed to the worst types of black magic, and their children must have been affected by this magic too. Lucy collapsed completely, and when Henry heard her, he came down to her. As soon as Lucy saw him, she felt terrified, and when Henry saw fear in Lucy's eyes, he approached her with a terrifying smile and put his hand on her neck, and Lucy was unable to do anything. Henry did not leave her until he was certain that she was dead. He left her where she was and went back up to his room. After less than an hour, Mike arrived home to find Lucy lying strangely on the chair she was sitting on, and her face had all the features of fear and terror. Mike noticed the computer lying on the floor and quickly read what was written on it. He felt afraid. Between the terrifying appearance of his wife and what he knew about his only child, who undoubtedly seemed to be enchanted, Mike thought quickly and took his phone out of his pocket to call the police. And then he heard the sound of Henry's steps coming down from his room. The fear increased, and he almost left the door of the house again, but within seconds he felt a strong blow to his head, and then Henry's hands wrapped around his neck, and after that he did not feel anything else. The police arrived the next day after Mike and Lucy's co-workers reported that both Mike and Lucy were missing. Here the police were surprised to find both Lucy and Mike murdered in their home, and no one was able to find Henry. When the crime lab men arrived, they discovered a camera hidden above the television. When they saw in the recordings, they found that the child Henry was the one who killed his father and mother. But the strange thing that everyone who watched that footage noticed was that there was a red aura, as if it were fire, that was surrounding Henry the whole time.